This work is really looking at the position of the worker in some kind of automated future that we don't really know what that will be. And so in kind of preparing for this show and researching different aspects of automation, I think we all know now there's a lot of discussion about automation in the future and what that may or may not entail for humanity. One of the things I was interested in was looking at which jobs will be surviving based on our current understanding of automation. And a lot of jobs in the service industry, or not the service industry, but the human touch industry, like high touch industry, like cosmetics, for instance, have a very low percentage probability of being replaced by robots or automated devices. So what I wanted to do here was create, basically in corporate terms, it's called a specialty multi-environment, which basically means that there's a lot of different items of a certain specialized thing. So here's beauty. And so this is essentially like a futuristic, Douglas or Sephora type of environment, where, my work tries to keep some form of ambiguity so you can still have a dialogue about what's actually happening in this future state. So here, this could be for robots, it could be for humans, but it's basically a place where you come to for self-improvement in some form. So this work is about looking at how the conditions for the worker might be. So the piece is called Creeper Comforts, and it's essentially like a body shop in a way. I imagine that there'd be mechanics, human mechanics working here in some form. So these things here are actually, they're called creepers, and they're the trolleys or seats that people use to get underneath cars to operate on them. So what I wanted to do here was create these stations where you could imagine either a droid of some kind being operated from underneath, or it could be a human getting a massage from underneath. So you see attached to these gondolas are these kind of bed forms where a humanoid or a droid could lie down and get serviced. So on that side you have an eye bar, a hair bar, a butt bar. Here you have kind of a face chin lab. This is about kind of tongues and circuitry, and then this is like a hand bar over here. And so what I wanted to really emphasize those that in the center, the main focal point of the image is essentially a staff room. So this is where presumably the workers would go to relax, rest, take a nap, hang out, maybe smoke. It could be a smoking lounge too. And what I wanted to emphasize is that in this kind of, rather than paint this really dystopian kind of scene, in the future, I would like to imagine that the worker is really foregrounded in the way that it's, in typical retail environments, you have a front of house and a back of house, that's what they're called. And the back of house is where the employees kind of live. And what that means is that you don't see them. They just kind of disappear in the back, and then they do whatever they do and come back when they're useful. So here, I was trying to highlight that they're in the mix kind of equally with everything else that's happening. So you have maybe people getting their heads reassigned, or getting their hair done, or having their eyes reattached, whatever's happening in the sides here. But in the middle, you still have the kind of human worker doing their thing in the mix with everything else. So they're not hidden at all. They're not celebrated, but they're definitely not relegated to some kind of netherworld of mystery. And there's a lot of different things happening in the image as well, but that was kind of the main push for creating this mural. This is actually the largest piece I've ever done in terms of the gigabytes involved. This is almost a terabyte of information. So when you look at it, you can see like the veins in the eyeballs. You can see the logos on the pens. It's like a very detailed image that took a huge amount of computing power to produce. And it's funny because I look at it and it's like, well, it just looks like an image like any other kind of image you see like on a billboard. But it took an immense amount of computing power to generate. And I would hope that in the future something like this you could make like in 5 minutes, but at the time, presently, at least with my computing power, this took like a lot of machinery to produce.